Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. They interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the Judge Rotenberg Center's so-called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Read the article, share it on all your social media. You're going to also see linked in there NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Trigger warning 1 when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please go ahead and utilize the headphones. Number 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised. So, where we left off. Although the available data and information show that some individuals subject to ESDs may exhibit an immediate interruption of targeted behavior, the available evidence has not established a durable conditioning effect or overall favorable benefit risk profile for ESDs for SIB or AB. We've been saying this for a minute. If you are doing something, and I don't know, someone out of nowhere just, for lack of a better term, bitch smacks the hell out of you. You can have a temporary brain freeze where you stop what you're doing. Is that bitch smack going to come back to me at some point when I'm doing something that is similar and then stop me from engaging in what I'm doing? No. Okay? That's not how any of this works, Karen. I've in fact brought up the fact that my generation, the Gen X generation, was the last generation that dealt with corporal punishment. We were also one of the most reckless generations when it came to our overall health, bar none, besides those who thought the Tide Pod challenge seemed fun. The generation that would jump off the roof of their houses. The generation that would shame people for wearing pads and helmets while biking. The same generation who would use that bike to try to jump across a 6-foot wide concrete ditch with no helmet and no pads. I would say that it was almost a byproduct of us actually engaging in even more risky, unadvised behaviors, as opposed to being a deterrent to them. Almost as an act of rebellion, saying, no matter how you corporally punish me, I'm going to do A, B, C, D. Okay? It doesn't work. Doesn't change the behavior. It stops it for 5 minutes. After that 5 minutes is when the anger sits in. Well, at least if you were me. That was me. I was bottled up rage and anger. All right? Thankfully, the difference is I was able to channel that anger into becoming a part of the movement and helping it down the line in the late 90s, early 2000s, whereas others were jumping off rooftops. I wish I were kidding, but if you can see the look in my eyes, I've seen it with my own eyes, all right? No randomized controlled clinical trials have been conducted, and the studies that have been conducted are very small and suffer from various limitations, including the use of concomitant treatments that make determining the cause of any behavioral changes difficult. Let's talk about the number one deterrent as to why these studies haven't been done. If you've gone to some of these bigger research entities, in particular places like Yale and Harvard, when they have been asked point blank why they would not conduct such studies, they have said point blank because of the ethical concerns in regards to the treatments that they were being asked to study. Remember, Yale is the very same entity that conducted a study in regards to how it might change undesirable behaviors if they shot radiation into the autistic brain. Okay? If they're telling you there's ethical concerns, you might want to think about that for a few seconds, all right? Just saying. And if you don't believe me about them shooting radiation into autistic brains, look it up. You can find it easy as pie on Google. As much as I don't like Google Doctors still. It's right there on their own website, folks. I don't have the time or the imagination to make crap like that up. The additional references cited in the comments on the proposed rule suffer from the same methodological and other limitations as those the FDA considered previously, and the records and summaries of the JRC submitted regarding residents constitute an even weaker source of evidence regarding its effectiveness of ESDs for SIB or AP. Because conflict of interest, folks. If you are conducting a study in regards to a device that only your place uses, and the people who are co-signing off on its so-called benefits are the very same individuals whose paychecks you are signing. Yeah, right? Right? Just saying. It's not weak. It's absolutely inadmissible for any court of law that even has even a sliver left of its original moral compass. All right. So right now they're talking about whether or not you can say that this device is effective. Quite clearly it is not. Any more than corporal punishment was effective deterrent from any of the extreme risky behaviors that Gen X got up to when corporal punishment was still a thing. It's because, kids, the aversive model, or as I prefer to call it, the punishment model, because I like to call things what they are, doesn't work. It doesn't work on neurotypicals. It doesn't work on neurodivergent folks. It doesn't work on anyone. Usually, one of a few things are going to happen. Either we're going to engage in even riskier, more brain dead types of behavior. And I have a whole generation of people within my age group to back me up on that one. Watch the X Games sometime. Or we become extremely withdrawn and a shell of our former selves. Something that many the survivor can attest to. Or the behaviors that were the cause of all of this in the beginning become more prolonged and get worse. Why? Because these are all reactions to abuse. Okay? And you can see that by simply studying survivors completely unattached from the Judge Rotenberg Center to see that what I'm telling you is the truth. The question becomes, why are we in 2023 with all we know in regard to how ineffective the punishment model is, and even with every single other state in the union, even some of the most backward red evangelical states in the union, can all agree that the aversive punishment model does not work. Why are we still having this conversation in regards to the great progressive liberal Massachusetts? We're going to close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. See you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.